Hi, Adam Small here with Agent Sauce, and this is the Real Estate Marketing Podcast, and we're in the studios of DK New Media, and I've got Doug Carr with me.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, how are you?
Fantastic.
Well, that's good to hear. So today we're actually going to talk about analytics.
Ooh, excitement.
Well, it's one of your favorite topics, and
It is.
But honestly, it's a thing that's really not. I feel like is not utilized enough in any sort of marketing.
Yeah, I agree. I was just joking. It's when people think about like data and analytics, they typically are like,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but it actually is pretty exciting what you can discover with it.
Well, and I think that the thing that lends people to that, snoring, sleepy feeling is over analyzing it.
Yeah,
Right.
That's true. Or getting lost in it.
Right. Not knowing what to do, what it means, or anything like that.
If someone opens up Google Analytics, it's pretty daunting. What am I looking at? What could I change?
Well, exactly. So I've got 1,000 people came to my website today, but 53% of them bounced. What does that mean? Did I get any conversions or anything like that? So first of all, let's kind of frame this. We're not really talking about specific analytic packages or
Right.
even analytics for specific things like websites. We're just talking about having some sort of metric and measurement of your overall marketing practices.
I like that.
Okay, so I think since you mentioned Google Analytics, that's one of the first ones that comes to mind. It's a nice free package, and really does provide a great amount of insight, right? But what are some of the most important things that you see in Google Analytics?
That's such a good question. When we're working with clients, I think the biggest, let's start with the biggest mistake that we see is someone just grabs one number or one chart and says, what's going wrong? So maybe their traffic is half of what it was yesterday, or maybe, no matter what happens, maybe it's like you said, a 45, my bounce rate went from, and bounce rate is when someone lands on your site and then leaves. Maybe it went from 20% to 80% and they freak out. And the problem with that is that instantaneous is tough to measure, right? It's like getting on a scale every hour to measure whether you lost weight. You're just not going to see the difference.
There's no real value in that.
Yeah, there really isn't. And so it's more looking over time and seeing how you're trending and looking at maybe this year compared to last year, or this month compared to last month, and seeing whether you're improving over time. Those are the real, rather than looking at, you could look at every aspect of every element, how many people came to your site, how many bounces, how many search visitors, how many mobile, everything. What you want to do is see, are these all trending in good directions?
Mm-hmm. So you're just looking at things over the long term. It's just like the success of a business. Analytics could very well be your financial reporting, except it's for whatever you're looking at, whether it be a website, email marketing,
right,
other lead generation techniques that you're utilizing. And the goal there is to see what the long-term trend is.
Right. It's like, you're in the real estate marketing industry, so I'll make a really bad analogy because I'm not in the real estate marketing industry.
Okay, well, you feel free to do that.
But if you're someone that sells houses and you're, I don't know, you're selling 3 or 4 a month, so you're pretty happy with, what you're making, and 1 month you sell 8 houses, well, of course, your numbers jumped, or one time you sold 1 house, and your numbers dropped out the tank. That doesn't mean the world is over. You might have 4 more in the pipeline and, and you're about to close on or something else. And so like I said, last year, this time you were selling 2 houses a month. So you're okay.
Right.
The year before, maybe you were selling 1 every 3 months. And so that's why we get people to pay attention is, I'll do a reverse example too is, perhaps you're monitoring how many people are calling your business and you do a charity event and they interview you and, you say you're a real estate agent, from this or whatever. And all of a sudden your phone rings off the hook. Well, that's great. Now, maybe 90% of those people don't use you as a real estate agent. They were just calling to say hi, thanks, whatever. Maybe they were sales calls, So if you're looking at that, your bounce rate on your phone call, let's say,
mm-hmm.
Might spike and be, 90%. But hey, you still got 20 good calls that day that you didn't get the day before.
Right.
And it's the same with a website. Is sometimes your website gets picked up by someone and shared. You write a great blog post or share a great property, and someone shares that online. All of a sudden, 200 people visit your site on that page.
Well, really, it could be for anything, not just a site. So
Right.
you get a video and it goes viral,
Exactly.
right? You send out an email and it gets forwarded to a million different people.
Right.
So you have that huge spike, right? So you can't just measure off the instantaneous like you're saying. Now,
Exactly.
Now, one of the really interesting things that you're talking about there, you kind of mentioned, you touched on was, yes, I had a huge spike, but 90% of it went away,
Yeah.
right? So as part of that, analytics, whether it be on a website or email marketing analytics or whatever other medium you're using to measure your leads, I think that one of the really valuable things about analytics is that it can tell you where your good leads are coming from and where your bad leads are coming from. I've seen a lot of real estate sites that after you see a couple of listings on their site, they require you to register and put your information in there, right? Your email address, first name, last name. And I've talked to a number of people that they consider every one of those a lead. The problem with that is that I've seen a lot of people, there's a lot of junk data that goes in there. Oh, it's common practice for you to have a second email address that you put in for newsletters that you never check, right? So 90% of those are not good. So one of the real benefits of analytics is the fact that you can look at it and you can identify in your marketing strategy and your overall piece what is and isn't working for you from a cost benefit analysis perspective.
Right.
I may be getting 1,000 leads from this site, but they're not good leads.
Yeah.
I'm not converting them. I'm unable to convert them at all, and so they're not good leads, and in large part because they've got a .ru ending in the domain name, or they some weird email address.
Right.
It's a fake email address.
Right.
So.
And I'd say this, that even people that are paying attention to just conversions, and what I mean by conversion is someone actually picks up the phone or somebody does fill in that form and contact you. That's the conversion on the site. It converts them from a lead to, a contact. And of course there's the contact to the customer.
Right.
That's
right.
the next conversion, and that happens offline with real estate. But in a CRM, you can obviously mark that.
Right.
And say this accounted for this much information. We don't look at those opportunities where all of a sudden your traffic spiked and you got thousands of people. We don't look at that as, oh, well, we only converted one of those, so that sucked. Well, the good thing was there was an awareness there too.
Right.
And you're going to see a lift with that spike that follows. So if I share something online and it goes viral and all of a sudden a ton of people come to my site, a couple of people will sign up for the newsletter.
Right.
And a couple of people will stick around. And then 6 months later, they'll convert.
Right. Well, and real estate has a long sales cycle anyway, but
Yeah.
I guess what I was getting at when I was talking about, identifying good mediums versus poor mediums.
Oh, I understand
was
what you're
nothing
saying.
to do with the spike. It was
Right.
all about the long term, because
Yeah.
you're right. The spikes, they're anomalies. They're, and same with huge dips. If you suddenly have a huge dip, but then the site comes back up, or whatever you're using comes back up to your average or whatever,
Right.
then it's an anomaly.
Weird
but
stuff
it
can
happens.
happen. Like you can be monitoring, week over week, and last week had a holiday the first day.
Right. Right.
So your trend looks, oh my God, we've lost 20% of our traffic since last week. Well, yeah, because everybody was on holiday.
Right.
There's
Exactly.
ways to explain those things away. It's just a matter of paying attention to it and understanding, why are things. And that's why, again, we just look things long term. Where were we last year? Where are we now? And with a website, especially with any digital media, it's about momentum. It's not like an ad if you put an ad on TV, people call you during the ad. When the ad's over, nobody calls you,
Right.
and you paid that money and it's gone. Pay-per-click is similar, right? You pay for placement. Once you stop paying for placement, you're not getting clicks. But a website, you can keep getting clicks. You can keep winding up in search results and social media shares and people watching your videos and people texting you, and all of those things can happen long after you publish something. And so that's why we always like to look at things at a long term. If I work on my site for a year and I create great content for a year and I share it across my social network for a year and I network with professionals for a year, what happened to my business? And when I look at it on that scale, it always looks good. And it's because the investment is starting to pay off, and it's going to keep going as long as you keep putting the effort in.
Right. So you use the analytics to kind of gauge how well your marketing efforts are working across the board, right? So
Yeah.
You put links in your emails that you send out, and those are measured not only in most email campaign systems have their own metrics, but you're actually able to put like Google Analytics information in there for campaigns,
Yeah.
so that you can actually see, you know, how far this person goes on your website. So that not only are they clicking on the link in the email, but they're hitting your website, and you're able to say, oh, you know, they looked at this and I was able to convert them to a, you know, whatever it is, grab their actual information. Worked. Yeah.
Whatever I was trying to make them do, it actually worked. And
right.
I think that's like you're getting into an important factor too, and that's that a lot of these data systems, whether it's analytics or whether it's some financial or whatever, they almost always offer some other opportunity to bring data in or whatever. And so like analytics, a lot of people say, you know, hey, can you set up Google Analytics on my site? And they paste a script and they say, yep, it's done.
Yeah, exactly.
And the problem
Set
is,
it and forget it, right?
Yeah, the problem is that there's actually a lot more you can do. You can measure events. An event might be someone clicking on a login button or clicking on a video or clicking on a podcast to listen to.
Right.
An event might be, even you can add events for people scrolling down the page.
Mm-hmm.
Did they make it to the bottom of the page? Then you have campaigns, like you were saying, anything outside. So if I share something on Twitter, I can put a campaign URL, and then I can look at my campaigns in analytics and see, hey, how much traffic did I get from sharing that on Twitter?
Right, exactly.
And then the last one is, you know, actual conversion funnels. You can see how many people came to your site, how many people maybe downloaded a, you know, maybe you have an ebook or something like that, or how many people filled in the form, you know, for information, and then you could even back push information, you know, if you sold a house or whatever, you know, that's getting pretty tough. But
yeah, well, the thing with that though is with the conversion funnels in particular is you can say, you know, here is each page along the way.
Yeah.
Until I can grab their information. And so you can look at the conversion funnels and you can say, oh, well, you know, 90% of people are making it to this page and then they're stopping, or that sort of thing. So, you know, at that point, you've got a problem that you need to address and figure out why they're stopping at that page and what you can do to make it easier for them to complete the process. And that's
what you want to do is, you know, when people come to a web page, any web page, one thing is they don't come to your homepage. Right. Maybe half of the people come to your homepage, but the other half are coming to some internal page that's ranking, or we share it on social, or is on your, you know, on some page that you know, gave someone a link, or someone emailed that link, or something like that. And so it's important to remember that almost everybody looks at a website and they look at the homepage, and then they look at the rest of the website. And the problem is that half your audience is probably coming from a page and then maybe going back to the homepage or whatever.
Right. They're searching Google, and Google's taking them to the particular topic that they searched about, you know, tips for taking photographs for real estate or something along those lines. So they end up on that page.
Right.
And then they go to the rest of the site.
And so the problem is if you have tips on selling real estate and you don't have a way for them to convert, you're not telling them where you want them to go next. Like we see this with people with blogs all the time. They have a great blog. They're writing great content and everything else. Someone lands on that blog, but you look at that page and there's no call to actions.
Right.
There's nothing that says, hey, if you'd like an appointment for me to stop by your house, you know, click here or call this number or whatever.
Right. In real estate terms, you know, if you're looking to list a house, to sell your house, you know, it's for a market snapshot, you know, market evaluation, you know, that sort of thing, so you can know what's going on and what the valid price of your home may be, you know. So very interesting.
So you got to look at every page of your site and say, if someone landed on this page, do I have a place for them to go next? Otherwise they're going to leave.
Without a call to action, you're just doing nothing, right?
Yeah, and analytics will show that. Analytics will absolutely point that, hey, wow, we have 400 people this last 6 months that have landed on this page, and they've never
They
gone to
left.
100% exited that page.
Yeah, exactly. So what are we doing wrong on that
Yeah.
page to not keep them?
Exactly. And then another thing that we pay attention to is mobile. So if you ever go into Google Analytics, you can actually do searches on the top left for the reports that you want to look at.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just type mobile in there, you can get a report that basically shows you what percentage of your visitors are from a mobile device. And the reason why we pay attention to that is, especially for real estate, I'm guessing there's a ton of people out in the field making searches, right?
Right. They'll pass by a home with a sign in the yard, and they'll sit right there and they'll actually try to pull it up online and see what they can find out about that home right there. The days of the flyer box, they're still very much heavily in use, but I think a lot of people are going mobile before they even get out to look at the flyer box.
Well, that's what I was, and that's a lot of people are saying now, hey, let's design with mobile first in mind. If we were going to design our web presence, how would we make every page look on a mobile device? And then we'll worry about the desktop later.
Right.
So
right.
I think that's an important one. The last one that you talked about was email.
Right. What are some important metrics to watch in email marketing?
I tell you, it's such a tough thing. So there's a lot of things with email right off the bat that people think that all your email goes where it should be.
Right.
And it doesn't.
We've had a lot of agents say, look, I'm only getting a 40% open rate here. What's wrong?
That's incredible.
I know. And I want to go, whoa, that's amazing. That's there's nothing wrong. You're doing something right here,
Well, a couple things.
But they expect it to be like 80 or 90%.
One, it never will be just because of image pixel blocking, right?
Right.
For those people that don't know, that's the way that email is tracked as an open is literally that it requests a pixel from the server. And so if
it's a really tiny image that's 1
don't see
pixel
it.
wide, right?
Yeah, you don't see it in the email or anything like that. But and so the first thing is a lot of people did open the email, but they have image blocking.
Right, that open rate is actually the absolute minimum number of people that open the email. It's not your true open rate; it's the absolute minimum that open the email.
And so you want to pay attention to that. Email reputation over time, how you're writing your content, all of those things can impact open rates and the first couple sentences that you write on your email, because a lot of people are on a mobile device,
right,
and they're reading the first couple of sentences. So if you don't have something really compelling there, maybe they're not going to open. So you can pay attention to that too. And then, of course, your list growth.
Right.
I think pay attention to not just how many people you're growing, how many people are leaving too.
Well, how many you're retaining, right?
Yeah.
Well, and leaving, I was actually going to touch on that a little bit. One of the things, there are a couple of things, list growth and the spam reporting rate are things that I touch on when I'm asked that particular question, right? And to me, the list growth is important because you want to make sure that you're consistently adding new people to your list, because that means that you're growing your business. If you're not adding people to your email list, then you're not growing your business. It's as simple as that.
It's like if you don't put money in the bank for your investment.
Exactly. It's not going to grow, right? Now, spam rate, I think, I tend to watch as an important one. Not so much because, they had a high spam rate, we need to, do something about that. But if you have a consistently high spam rate across multiple campaigns and such, that means, and the spam rate is where somebody reports your email as spam to their ESP.
Right.
Their
and a lot of times
ISP.
they do it they don't even realize they want to unsubscribe, but they hit spam
and all that, right? And that's going to happen. But if you have a consistently high rate, what that tells me and should be telling you is that your source for getting emails is bad. However you're pulling those emails in and adding them, you've got a problem in your email collection, and you need to really look at that. So that's again where analytics comes in really great. So and can tell you whether or not you've got a problem. So
awesome. Well, those are some good metrics to start with.
Yeah. Information. Want to learn more? Check out agentsauce.com.